Yo, what is going on, you guys? This is your boy Taladia Plays, bringing you back with another DC Games related video. And in today's video, you guys, I've got a special guest on, and is none other than SlightStardust. Please introduce yourself.
Hey guys, it's Stardust here, and welcome back to another video on this YouTube channel.
Yes, on my YouTube channel, Taladia Plays. Yes, and we're gonna be talking about like after Gotham Knights and Suicide Squad, Killer Justice League, and Wonder Woman. What can we expect for DC games? Because there's been a whole different there's been so many changes now that WB has happened. That Discovery is making big plans. They want to have Wonder Woman, Superman, and Batman at the forefront of things, and it's looking likely that we are going to be getting more than just a solo Wonder Woman game. And I'm not talking a Batman Arkham game. I'm talking about, yes, you know it, the Superman game. And now, you know, there is a reliable leaker who, by the way, this guy got Gotham Knights and Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Uh, Basically, he put it out on Twitter before it was even announced, and he got it right. He's basically saying, let's make it 2 for 2. Superman. It's been 16 years since Superman has led his own solo video game. DC times to change that. Hashtag complete the Trinity. And he has a picture of the Superman family with Brainiac, Mongol, and Lex Luthor as the background as villains. Now, Stardust, what do you think about this whole idea that WB changing, the big changes they're making in terms of video games, and what they're bringing to the forefront of things right now, and for the future of things as well?
Well, I think that them wanting to, say they do end up doing this Superman game, and in their sort of in front of everyone, kind of main games that they're making, that it is the Trinity, right?
Yeah,
Batman, Wonder Woman, and Superman are three of, in my opinion, the most iconic DC characters, right? I could go up to any old person in the world and be like, "Who's Batman?" They would know Batman. Who's Superman? They would know Superman. Who's Wonder Woman? They would know Wonder Woman, right?
yeah.
So doing that, kind of pushing your most famous heroes into the video game landscape, makes a lot of sense. And I think that was, it would be in a similar vein, right, to Insomniac not doing a Spider-Man game but doing a Morbius game, right?
Yeah. Oh,
It makes it makes absolute sense for them to push their more popular characters. And I think that, obviously Gotham Knights is kind of, it's still a Batman game, right? It doesn't have Batman in it, but I
it's
would
a.
still call it a Batman
I'd
game,
say it's a reboot. I classify Gotham Knights as a rebooted universe, and
Oh yeah, no. So what I meant is sort of like, you would kind of, despite Batman not being in it, obviously it's still a Batman universe, right? You'd
yeah,
still got the Bat logos, you still know Robin, you still know those characters anyway. But yeah, no. So yeah, I think it's a great idea. I think that the thing is with, superhero just companies in general, I think that the video game market hasn't really been tapped into as well as it should do. I genuinely think that DC and Marvel should be just competing all the time. Like, they should be
branching out.
gaming universes on both sides. And I think that, the thing is DC, they've done Batman Arkham, which has been
Their most
obviously
popular.
amazing.
That's
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
been that's been the most popular and most profitable, uh, realistic comic book game that they've made to date. And now they're trying something,
Exactly, yeah.
and they're making something completely different, and yet fans are just. I've seen fans hate on Gotham Knights, and I'm just like, you guys wanted a Bat Family game, and you guys are getting a Bat Family game, and you want it more comic booky, and this is a comic book game. So how what it's gonna be great. For the future of
Mm.
DC, they could do a comic booky type Superman game, a comic booky type Batman game if they wanted to. It doesn't have to necessarily be all the time realism of how like Batman Arkham is, like how realistic, like let's say it's like Unreal Engine. They use a modified Unreal Engine 3 for Batman Arkham Knight, but if they did that but an Unreal Engine 5, I think it look even more realistic. But I think it needs to be more comic booky though. I don't think them going back, going back to the Arkham ways is a good thing. I think if they go forward with giving us like let's say an RPG type of game and give us something different. Don't give us the same repeated stuff. Like, you know, we've had the Arkham combat. It's done and dusted. It needs something new. That's why Rocksteady is working on Suicide Squad, and they're not doing a Superman game. And whereas WB Montreal were making a Batman Beyond game, but it was going to feature Damian Wayne, it was going to be Batman Arkham and all of that. That got scrapped because nobody wanted it. And now when they saw the leaks, everyone was just like, oh, I wish we got this game and all that. I'm just like, nah, you guys didn't want it. And I'm pretty sure the higher-ups didn't like the idea of Bruce Wayne being old. But I just think going forward now, I see the future just being more comic booky games and more like the comics in a video game format instead of it being realistic. So like, go on.
Oh, sorry, you go first.
No, you go first. Go on.
So I kind of think that when it comes to just, either of the two big companies, but obviously we're talking about DC specifically.
Yeah.
I think that when it comes to DC, what they need to do is exactly kind of what you mentioned, right? Because the games like the Arkham games, for example, they were dark, they were gritty, they were realistic, they were great, but some people, they don't have that itch scratched, right? Because the thing is that there's a difference between those sort of games being really stimulating for a certain fan base, but then if you like, so that Justice League game, right, made by the people that have done like Paw Patrol and all that, the proper kids game, that genuinely will scratch an itch of a fan base in DC that want that type of content, right? There's also people that may want a very more cartoonish style. So, for example, when DC Universe Online eventually gets that graphical update, I imagine people would probably want more games in that sort of style. And I think that if they can expand the variety of the type of games that they release, they will be able to get more people through the door. Because that's something that, I'm not trying to pit DC versus Marvel. I'm just using Marvel as an example crossover. Yeah. So that's something that Marvel's been lacking too, in my opinion, is that a lot of games that they do have, they have that realistic feel. You know what I mean? It's either cards or it's super realistic, right? There's no between. Whereas DC, there is a huge opening there to start going for more animated, cartoonish. Obviously, not ridiculously cartoonish like that Marvel MMO that was cancelled, but they could really scratch an itch for certain people. Because I mean, when we talk about DC, one of the biggest things that I've seen fans love is their animated universe, right? Their cartoon universe, right?
Yeah.
And that's something that I feel like they should bring over to video games in general. So I really hope that they do that in the future. And I think that'd be great. I think
the problem though for that is that they'll just use that for realism game, like the Arkham games. That's what I've seen one user, particularly this user on Twitter, was like in reply, like, oh, I hope Rocksteady makes a Superman game and brings the people from the Justice League animated voice acting to come over to do voice work for that. I'm just like, they're not gonna do that. WB isn't, gonna go back and bring the voice actors to do voiceover work for, let's say, Flash, Superman, Batman. You're like, pretty much we know Kevin Conroy is not doing any voiceover work for Rocksteady for Suicide Squad because he's pretty much done with Batman Arkham. Whereas, Gotham Knights, it's a brand new cast. They've got people from different, let's say, from different games and whatnot. Let's say Stephen O'Young did Mr. Negative for Marvel Spider-Man. He came over now and he's doing Red Hood. I think his voice acting is great. And they got
Yep.
they got so many great people coming in, and it's new people. It's not old people. It's not people that we've heard from before. It's new people, and that's what needs to happen for DC. Is going forward is to give us new voice acting people, basically people who does voice over work, but new people, not old people that we've heard previously from, let's say, the Batman Telltale games to the Arkham games. It just needs to be more, you know, fresh.
So you obviously, by the sound of it, you want kind of just more like fresh, kind of just brand new sort of stuff, carrying on. Which I mean, to be fair, the lineup for what we know publicly is pretty fresh. Like obviously,
Yeah.
Gotham Knights is, that's a pretty risky move. I mean, obviously a game, featuring the Bat family without Batman, that's, yeah, for a lot of like DC fans, that seems like a bit of a no-brainer to do something like that eventually, but it's still quite a risk to the general audience, because you got to think, right, as a
Hmm.
kid, so I picture it as like a kid going into the game store and like, that logo, where's Batman? Do you know what I mean? And like,
Yeah.
and then obviously they kind of read the box a little bit. It would be one of those games that these kids are going to examine rather than just pick up straight away. And I think that, like,
The sales will
you
hurt
know,
them. Hmm.
yeah, and it's and it's the same with, obviously kids wouldn't be picking up Suicide Squad, but I hope not. But like, it's gonna be the same for that. It's gonna be people kind of being a bit like, oh, do I want to, I don't know. Like, but they'll, people will do it, and hopefully they'll like it. But that's also a live service game. That's something very different. Wonder Woman's gonna have the Nemesis system.
Yeah.
It's gonna have all those sort of things to it. It's probably gonna be an open world, so it's gonna be a very sort of a bunch of different games come in, and obviously when Rocksteady do make the Superman game, by default it's going to be something different, because Superman is just like, he's Superman.
Superman
You
is the
can't make a normal basic linear style game with Superman.
Yeah, and I just feel where they need to go forward now is comic booky type of way. Give us the comic book from, like, straight out of the comic books, put it into a video game, but not realistic. I think that's the best way to go forward now, and I think them doing that, it's a good move by for example, Gotham Knights. It's a comic book game. You see some of the, like, from the Red Hood and the Nightwing gameplay demo that we got. That looked
Hmm.
like really comic booky. It did not feel like an Arkham game. It was an RPG game, open world, and it didn't feel like a game that, oh yeah, you know what, this game is gonna suck. I think that Gotham Knights is gonna do well, but will it hurt? Will the sales hurt? Yes, basically because it's next gen only. When previously it was stated that, oh no, it's gonna be Xbox One and PlayStation 4, but now it's just PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series S and X, and that would hurt the sales. But beyond, Wonder Woman and Suicide Squad, Killer Justice League, there's still Injustice 3. There's possibilities of that. There's still there's plenty of other DC IPs they could do that would make sense for Warner Brothers to push the boat out there and to get people interested in. And like you said about the Justice League game, that is kid friendly. I can see that getting a fan base for just for kids, just like the DC Super what's it called? DC Super Lego, not Lego. It's the Supergirls DC Supergirls video game, which was for Nintendo Switch. I don't know if you
Uh
heard about that.
no, I've never heard about that before, actually. I know they've got the League of Super Pets
Yeah,
game.
League
You
of
know,
Super
the
Pets.
tie-in.
Yeah, that is the people who made that game is making the Justice League game. That is
Yeah.
straight up happening. But going forward as a passionate DC fan, I just think it just needs to, it needs to be a solid comic book feel to it. Don't give us the realism. We've had enough of the realism from 2009 to 2015. I think that's a good period of realism superhero games we've had. I mean, Marvel haven't experienced that, maybe besides Avengers and, Marvel Spider-Man. But beyond that, they are trying different things. Like, we don't know what Skydance is making for the Marvel aspect of things. We don't know what, we know that the MMO game got cancelled for, Marvel. Whereas,
Yeah, we saw the reaction on the internet when the screenshots come out. People were not happy, and I think that's the thing, right? And I think that whenever to be fair, any franchise tries to do something different, people, unless they go for this realistic take, for the most part, it's probably going to upset a portion of the fan base because they're so connected to these characters that they almost get offended when a game is not made specifically with them in mind, right? So, like, for example, I did the video talking about the Justice League game, and there were people in the comments that are like, what is this? This is a Justice League game, or like not the one I sort of had in my mind. And I'm like, well, the thing is that whether you like it or not, it is a Justice League game, right? It might not be the one that you wanted to see. It might not be the realistic take. It might not be Justice League Heroes 2, which was a great game, by the way.
yeah,
It might not be any of that, but it's going to capture a lot of kids' attention. And I think DC needs that. I think DC have definitely been hammering home a little bit too much to kind of a certain demographic of their fan base, and I think that them going for more variety in their video game space will be beneficial for them in the future, right? So, for example, like I said, Gotham Knights, that, you've got the real sort of, not hardcore, but you don't need to be a hardcore Batman fan, you Batman Universe fan to be into Gotham Knights, but it'll definitely be more for those people. Suicide Squad, that takes a fan base. Are you into looters? Are you into that live service element? Well, here you go. You've got this. Go fight the Justice League. And obviously you've got the Wonder Woman game coming out, which, we assume it will be very similar to the Shadow of Mordor, but with Wonder Woman, which... obviously, there's a lot of longevity in a game like that, even if it isn't like going to be a live service. And then you've got the cartoonish kind of Justice League game, which is a part of another fan base. And I think that
that's going to be more kid-friendly type of feel to it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, so they're basically doing it so that like they're playing all sides so that they can't lose.
yeah, and pretty much like going forward though, it's going to be great for DC. We don't know what's going to be next after Wonder Woman, but my guess is going to be Superman because apparently, like I said at the very beginning of the video, according to James Sigfield, who's the leaker, who works for Geeks Worldwide as well, he says that Superman has been top priority for Warner Brothers Games since the merger and everything at Warner Brothers Discovery. So they want to make everything Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman all forefront of everything: movies, TV shows, video games, you name it. That's why we got Superman and Lois in the TV show. In movies, we've just had the Batman, and we've just recently had the Zack Snyder Justice League and Wonder Woman 84, which we won't talk much about because because that was a bit of a disaster, PR disaster there. But besides that, everything else is like video game terms. It's just been Batman, 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 but they never ventured out of it. But now they're venturing out of it. People aren't exactly liking it, which they need to move on from Arkham. And guys, that's what we're just trying to say. The future of DC games now is looking comic booky. Or comic book feel. It will be more comic book accurate and less realism. So that's what we think. But that being said though, guys, hope you have enjoyed today's video. And Stardust, where can I find you on Twitter and whatnot?
Okay, so, well, first of all, I really appreciate you having me on. I love talking about video games and superhero video games specifically. Which is exactly where I do on my own YouTube channel. So if you want to chill out and get some very quick, probably overwhelming news in like the first 2 minutes, you can find me on SlightStardust on YouTube. I assume I'll be somewhere in the description or the comments
Yeah,
or
you will
whatever.
be
But
put in the description for sure. Yeah.
at SlightStardust on Twitter. That's kind of, yeah, YouTube and Twitter really.
YouTube,
That's
okay.
kind of it.
Okay, so YouTube and Twitter is at SlightStardust. The link to his stuff will be in the description, guys. So make sure you guys do go subscribe to his channel. Do go follow him, guys. He's a really chilled, relaxed person, and I would highly recommend checking out his stuff. He covers Marvel's Avengers to DC stuff, from Gotham Knights to Suicide Squad. You name it, he covers everything. And you might like his content. If you do, feel free to make sure you leave a very nice comment there. Don't really be nasty in the comments, because
Oh, it's alright. I'm used to it. Not checking, but no. So I mean, you know, I appreciate you for having me on, man. Obviously, everyone who's watching right now, who's potentially come over from my channel, be sure to drop a sub if you can to Taladia Plays, who covers DC, a huge DC gaming super fan over here. Taladia is, and like and multiverses.
yeah, and multiverses.
Multiverses.
Yep, and
There's a
multiverses.
horizon
As
there.
there's a surprise there, guys. As as I said in my previous channel update video, guys, I will be live streaming on YouTube and on Twitch for Multiverses when that is released, and we'll be doing that 3 days a week on YouTube and Twitch, and then the 2 Monday and Fridays I'll be doing Twitch only streams. But you know what, it'll be great, and I'll have you guys in. We'll do Injustice, we'll do a lot of different DC games, and when Gotham Knights is released, that is going to be the big thing. And you never know, I might even bring Stardust if he's interested in doing Gotham Knights with me. You never know.
Sounds good, man.
Sounds good. But that being said, though, guys, I've been your boy Taladia Plays. Make sure you do follow me on Twitter, Twitch, and on Twitter, Twitch at Taladia Plays, and also make sure you do check out Inside the Multiverse, which is a DC Comics podcast that I do every 2 to 3 weeks with DC Comics Gamer, who is my co-host, and we talk about everything in relation to DC, which is from video games, movies, TV shows, and we have a Discord server for that. So make sure the link to all of that will be in the description. Feel free to drop in there and have a chat with us. Myself and DC Comics Gamer, we're always active on Discord, whether it's in UK time zone, specifically in the UK time zone, we're always awake. We're always chatting in there, and you start a conversation, we'll reply back instantly. But that being said, hope you have enjoyed. Make sure you do leave a like, comment, favorite, and subscribe, guys, and hit that notification bell, because if you don't hit that notification bell, you will never be notified when a video does go live. So until then, stay safe out there, guys, and we'll see you guys on the next video. Peace out.